All right.
My name's Taryns, and I'm on this trip for lots of reasons, largely political and personal. The political side is that I think I obviously was not born when MLK was around, but my parents made sure of it that I knew my history. They grew up in Jim Crow South in Pensacola, Florida. My father worked at McDonald's but couldn't eat there, and so like the realities of that system were very real in my life and kept alive by my parents' history. And I made sure to read a lot about it, and I was very impressed by it. It kind of inspired me to sort of be a freedom fighter in my own life. And so I just moved to the South from Arizona, where I was doing immigration justice work there, and now I live in Atlanta, Georgia. And coming to the South and seeing the kind of what I feel is like a forgotten struggle of black folks everywhere, and what's really happening with imprisonment and formerly incarcerated people being sort of transplanted in society and forgotten about, and their rights taken away. At the same time, seeing like the amount of pressure being put on by police officers in our communities, and I'm just devastated by it. And so I find it really honorable to be here and kind of be able to kind of retrace the steps of people who came before us, the giants who made my life possible, and really hope to make them proud one day by keeping the struggle alive.
That's wonderful. So you more or less consider this like unfinished business, or?
Yeah, I think there are some things the civil rights struggle, and I would even say extend further out, the Black Power struggle tried to win but didn't necessarily finish.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I would say it's an unfinished business for sure.
Okay. And so what are your expectations? Do you see the possibility of a new movement developing out of this?
Out of this single meeting, I mean, I think a movement sparks out of a lot of different places, right? And I think it's important that we continue to have these sorts of dialogues and continue to do work and coalesce on a national level around the work that we're doing in places. So I see this mostly as a first step towards a larger picture that could take, 3 or 4 years to see a lot of change, or the next 10 or 15 years to see a lot of change. I guess I always say I'm in the movement for a long haul, and I understand that movements sometimes happen in a spark of a moment, or sometimes take years and decades worth of work to happen. So, of course, the potential is here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
Oh man, that's wonderful. And so what's taking place in Georgia at this time that's pushing this? Is there movement building in Georgia?
I mean, movement building, I think there's organizing happening in Georgia. I mean, I think we're always trying to move towards something bigger that will hopefully potentially happen. And I live in Atlanta, and like I said, I'm really new to the state of Georgia, so I can't speak for the whole place. But what I've seen is there are people trying to move on the ground, but a lot of it, unfortunately, hasn't been successful. And we're trying to do some things, too, so we'll see. Explicitly around the ideas of stop and frisk and the very first point of contact a young black man or a young person of color has with a police officer, and also around expungement work, and hopefully trying to get folks the records clear, or at least sealed, so they can have job opportunities.
Okay,
so I mean, yeah, there's potential everywhere.
Yeah, I mean that problem from everybody that I've spoken to at this conference here, that seems to be universal in terms of stop frisk and in communities of color all across this nation. And particularly, I cover that kind of activity, police-community relationships in New York City and Harlem. And so all the Harlems of America appear to have this same phenomenon taking place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not a struggle that we're alone in. I think a lot of times the South, or large urban centers, tend to be kind of like these incubators for these kinds of new forms of oppression that are slick and flexible, that people don't always notice on a regular basis.
Okay, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I mean, truly a pleasure, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right.